Eventually, that was like to roll and sort of something going from there. So instead of maybe
Okay, folks, can I have your attention? My name is Scott Chase. I'm the chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals. I'd like to welcome you all to our April monthly meeting. We normally meet on the fourth Tuesday, but Mike was going to be out of town. And so we moved to this evening. That was the reason why the change. Normally, you're going to find us on the fourth Tuesday here. This evening, I should go around and do some introductions. The other board members with me are Carl Baden, Marie Stewart, Mike O'Neill, Amanda Zick, and our newest member, Chris Wyatt. And sitting next to me is our secretary, Trish Devine. This evening, our main topic, and looks to me like there's lots of interest, is on the Stewart's Shop request for a variance. This is we have a public hearing open, and you will, as a member of the public, anyone who wants to go on the record and talk about the application, you'll be able to do that. This was for the we opened the hearing at our last meeting. We were required by state law to refer this to the Regional Planning Agency, which for us is the Dutchess County Department of Planning. They have 30 days to review, and they did not get their review back to us in time for the next meeting. So we were holding it open so that we would have that as part of the record. When I opened the hearing, I think that I would read that into the record, similar as we got letters about the solar farm last time. We would then take any additional comments that the public wanted to make. I think that because there are a lot of new people here, Marcus is here from Stewart, so I would probably have him just briefly go over what the proposal is, and then we would open it up to public comment in terms of once everyone has had their opportunity to speak. If I don't know, if it seems like that you're going on too long, I may have to, put a limit. There's a lot of people here. Try to keep your comments down to 2 or 3 minutes if you can. For the board, I remember what my question was on the. We went through the short environmental assessment form, the part 1. I do not believe that we completed the part 2 section and the part 3 section. So that's something that we would expect to do after the hearing. And assuming that we can all, reach agreement, we proceed from there. Let's start with the outline for this evening. So with that, I would go ahead and say again, this was a continuation of the public hearing, and that we would open that for comment, but I'm going to start by reading referral from the hearing. And it says, the Dutchess County Department of Planning has reviewed the subject referral within the framework of General Municipal Law, Article 12B, 239 L&M. The action is the applicant is proposing the construction of a new Stewart's convenience store and gas canopy to replace the existing structures on the site, including the installation of underground storage tank. A 138-foot variance is being requested from the maximum front yard setback of 25 feet in the Hamlet Main Street district. The applicant is requesting a substantial variance in order to locate the proposed convenience store 163.5 feet back from the front lot line. This would create a larger expanse of uninterrupted blacktop setting the store back even further from the street than the existing layout, with the gas canopies acting as a visual barrier between the two. Section 275-56 of the town code states that a town's preference is that fuel pumps and canopies be sited to the side of a principal building rather than in the front to the extent practicable. While the existing Stewart shop may have a non-conforming setback, it was constructed prior to the adoption of the zoning law in 2009. And in fact, that applicant is proposing to raise the existing store and build a new one, presents a unique opportunity for it to be sited in a way that is consistent with the goals identified in the town's zoning law, comprehensive plan, and design guidelines. Orienting the store to the street by sitting it towards the front of the lot in a landscape yard, and a canopy and parking placed in a secondary position, either to the side or toward the rear, would allow for direct sidewalk connection to be made, which will improve pedestrian safety and walkability. The nearby post office is a good example of this preferred layout. We believe that siting the proposed project can be adequately accomplished by adhering to the setbacks required in the code. These dimensional regulations were created by the town to ensure that new developments follow preferred land use patterns within the Hamlet Main Street district, so that they are in keeping with the area's compact and walkable character. At the February zoning board meeting, the applicant presented several alternative site plan layouts that conformed with a front yard setback and would require no variance or possibly a smaller variance. The board should consider whether these alternatives are more desirable, as New York State directs that only the minimum variance necessary be granted. Should the board grant this substantial variance, it may set an unwanted precedent that could negatively impact site plan decisions in future developments. And the recommendation, for the reasons stated above, our department recommends that the board not grant the requested front yard setback variance. And it goes on to say that if the board acts contrary to our recommendation, the law requires that it do so by a majority plus one of the full membership of the board, and that it notify us of the reasons for its decision. And so again, we were waiting for that, and that was the reason that we held the hearing up. Because we have new folks here, I might ask Marcus from Stewart's to just give an overview of your proposal again.
So you can see. Good evening, I'm Marcus Andrews. I'm from Stewart's. Again, here before the board this evening seeking a front yard setback variance for a proposed approximately 44,000 square foot Stewart shop directly behind the existing Stewart shop. Construction phasing, we'd be looking to construct a new store while keeping the old store and gas open. Once the new store is open, we pretty much fence off the front half of the lot, access to the new store, while the old store gets demoed and the old gas gets taken down. Once the gas is down and building's out of the way, we'll install new gas tanks and a new canopy out front. Gas with this proposal down approximately a month for this construction. We keep the existing entrance on 82. We'd have multiple entrances along the side road, deliveries along the back, parking along two sides of the building, additional parking out front for larger vehicles, as well as some overflow parking in the back. The quick summary of what we're proposing this evening. We are also, with the idea of giving a view towards the front, we're proposing a small wall, approximately a 3-foot wall, just to kind of bring what the town is looking for as far as a frontage coming into the town of Pine Plains there. Just to give a little look up front, as well as additional landscape beds out front, just to dress up that inner area.
Thank you, Marcus. I would, when we take public comments, Trish has the great job of trying to keep track of all these and keep minutes. So what we would ask is that when you're recognized, if you would give your name and address, and then go ahead with your comments. Is there anyone who would like to make a comment on the proposal?
I have a comment. So if this is
Um,
not here, oh, sorry, Frank Kilmer, 30 Ryan Road, Pine Plains, right? If this is not approved, the alternative, how long are we gonna be without gas and stuff there, Mr. Stewart's?
If this is not, if this is not approved, we would stay with what we have right now.
You want to do
We
nothing?
do not have to do this. We're looking to, construct a newer store with added services. But we would not look to put it up front. You'd be down at least 3 months with gas in order to build in the front.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Paul Brand, Pine Plains. Have you discussed the traffic pattern as it exists now and how it would change with the new construction?
Traffic, if anyone's, I'm assuming the majority of the people here have used the store. Traffic pattern does get tight in here. A larger vehicle coming in here, there's really no room for larger vehicles on the existing lot. This new proposal will give parking along the edge of curb here for larger vehicles, easier in and out as far as gas customer goes, to where you're not blocked in by another customer when you're trying to get in and out of gas. We do see it in really all our shops. These gas, filling stations become parking spots.
Right.
You get gas, you walk inside. The orientation of the canopy now, if that happens, you're blocking the car behind you, or you're blocking a car from getting to the pump in front of you.
Is that 4 pumps?
This is 4 pumps,
And are they perpendicular to the storefront?
correct.
And I understand you're intending on putting diesel in.
There's low flow diesel on one of the islands. It's just for smaller vehicles. It's not for big trucks.
It's not truck stuff.
No,
Okay, but similar to the Pine Plains and Salt Point Turnpike,
correct.
right?
The
Same
Stewart's there, yes.
Stewardson.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hopefully not the entrance and exit like they have.
Yeah.
Not our choice.
Go ahead. Rich Jewett, 128 North Main Street. As many of you guys know that I'm the manager of Stewart's. I've been fighting for diesel fuel for the 5 years I've been here. This town needs diesel. We have to send our residents 10 miles either direction just to get diesel. We need a new store to make it easier on the employees in there. We have to move our beverage around 3 to 4 times every single week, getting in new deliveries just to put away the existing stuff. The biggest add-on in this store, I believe, is the new cooler that we'll have. That'll make it a lot easier for the employees to work in there. Not to mention the fact that a nice new store for the community with the looks of a new store, the new landscaping and everything. You look at Claverack up by 9H and 66. They used to have a Red Cap store right across from Village Dodge. That place was horrendous looking. Beautiful new store there now. That's what Stewart's does. We invest in the community. And so I took it upon myself in 3 hours, have 171 signatures from customers this afternoon alone. And this is what I said. We, the residents of Pine Plains and customers of Stewart's shops in Pine Plains, would like to see the new building built behind the existing building. By doing this, the station can stay open during remodeling and add diesel for our convenience. 171 people approve of it. I haven't had one person say that they didn't want it. So if you guys want to listen to what the people say, here it is. Thank you.
Rich Prentice, 42 Sissing Avenue. I'm here in support of the project. The proposed design here, I think is a lot safer than what we currently have there. I've seen, almost fender benders in there and the tightness of the parking and the pedestrian traffic. So Like I said, I'm in here supporting the project. I think it's a safe design. It looks like a pretty nice design. Stuart's been a big supporter of the community here too, so.
Mark Ferrata, Ryan Road, I'm in for support of this storage project here.
Doug Weaver, 5 Ryan Road. To me, it's a no-brainer. I mean, we don't have diesel, we don't have a lot of parking now. This gentleman just said, if we don't go with this, we're gonna have what we got. And just like that gentleman just said to you, we're moving material 3 times. We're supposed to be moving ahead, not backwards. And if we don't do this, it sounds like we're going backwards. And also, there's been places that they didn't get this approved, they pulled right out of town. Then what's Pine Plains gonna do? Thank you.
Sarah Jones, Bean River Road. I'm here in my capacity as a member of the community, a resident here in town. This is a business that has been an enormous asset to this community. And I think that the people in this community want to accommodate this new plan and bring ourselves up to date and accommodate a business that has been incredibly good to us, and we have used it every single day. Everyone in this community uses it, and when we get that, I think the new building will be a major asset compared to what's there now. And I've just been extremely impressed with what this business has done for us as a community.
Matt Zick, 3054 Church Street. As a small business owner where I drive a truck and trailer and I mow lawns, the convenience of the gas and the new pumps would give me more room to go in, be able to park at the end of the day. Like which said, Stewart's donates to our recreation programs, our theater programs, anything that you ask them to donate for, they give the kids ice cream cones, like for wearing bike helmets. So I'm in support of it, and I think it's like, you know.
Can I make a second? I was just a question. So. We went from no zoning to a zoning board, which we're now going to, the county decides the zoning? That's what I think you read in the letter. They have to vote majority +1
So
for the county to approve it.
yeah, the way that would work is that, because it is majority +1, you can still have one dissenting vote and the local would be able to pass it. So it would take 4 votes out of the 5.
According to the county.
Everything goes to the county.
According to,
Everything goes to the county?
Yes.
according to state law.
Oh, the state. Oh. Okay. All right.
Change come in.
Yeah. It's only.
Maybe it needs to get, if this doesn't get agreed on, maybe the vote needs to go out to the public.
It's not possible, Doug.
And why is that?
That's the way state law is written. You'd have to go change the state constitution.
You're probably the only person that's never been to the Stewart, Scott.
Well, that's not true. I'm there probably every week.
I doubt it very much.
Well, you seem like reasonable people anyway.
Can
I add one more thing too? Because I've been a manager there for 5 years, just so everybody knows. I love this area so much. I bought a house here because I didn't want to be somebody that lived 40 miles away and worked here. So I bought a house in this town for this reason.
My name is Richard McCarron, Poplar Avenue. Basically, the way it happened with him, worked for the school district for 15 years, loved the community so much, moved into town last July. Support the project, been to many new steward shops, very nice improvements, good luck. I don't think the town would suffer one day. In fact, it would enhance it.
Let's see, are there Other people would like to make comments?
Mike Cooper, Victoria Crossing. I'm from here, been here my whole life. Grew up going to Stewart's, getting ice cream after games. I'm here as a citizen, but I'm also the rec director. They hook us up with donations for our concession stands and space for our programs. They support our teams by buying banners. And also, when I come back from a call, I'm also in the fire company. When I come back from a call, it's usually the only place that's open for me to grab a bite. So I really appreciate them, and anything that we can do to support them the way they support us, I'm in favor of.
Any other people would like to go on the record?
Why can't you just have a vote with you guys?
I'll talk about that a little bit after the,
People on board, if the county or the state is gonna make a decision.
I'll talk about that a little bit. Again, anyone else who wanted to get on the record for the public hearing? Or also board, I'm sorry.
Like the other gentleman said, my name is Ryan Brandt. I live on North Main Street, which is probably the busiest part of town. I lived here my whole life. And to make Stewart's try to go by what the town should be is kind of ridiculous, because the town goes by what Stewart's is. Having lived here my whole life, the kind of only thing that Pine Plains has going for it is Stewart's. And to make the town, or to make Stewart's work around what we have here is a bit ridiculous when everybody in town works around Stewart's. Most people here are there multiple times every day.
Others?
I have one point that I just like to make, that, if this is passed by the board, then it does go to the planning board, and there's a site review that will be done by the planning board. And they can take up some of the specifics about, exactly where things are. This is just about the variance.
Going from variance.
This would essentially give, I guess, Stewart's more flexibility, a lot more flexibility, 140 some feet more of flexibility. But again, I'll talk about that. I just wanted to make sure that everybody got there.
How much further back is it from the existing store?
The existing Stewart's is 104 feet. And the new Stewart's 163, both Stewart's.
104 from to the front of the store or the back of the
From the front of the store to the front property line, right now is 104.5 feet. The proposed is 163.5.
60 feet.
Yeah, it's roughly 60 feet further back.
So roughly, probably 20 feet behind the existing store, roughly. Right?
You're probably off of that addition off the back, your freezer off the back, you're probably less than 10.
So basically where the back of the store is now.
Pretty much where the septic field is right now.
Yeah, and that's where the new store is.
And I know Rich will appreciate this. One major thing is I was doing some deep hole testing not that long ago and watched a delivery happen here. And our delivery drivers are not happy with how we deliver today, to where all deliveries would be in the back of the store away from pretty much customers.
Yeah, anytime you're delivering, you gotta move the truck. Part of the delivery.
Yeah.
All right, comments going once, going twice.
Let's go.
Hearing none, no more, I guess. I would have a motion to close the public hearing.
So made.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor will say aye.
Bye.
All right, the other thing that I wanted, part of what's difficult is that this is not a popularity contest. It's not the role of the zoning board of appeals to just hear what the public wants and do it. We're not elected. We're a quasi judicial board. State law sets up the parameters by which we have to find in order to approve something. And they lay down 5 very specific ones. Will the variance produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to nearby properties? Can the desired result be achieved by some other feasible means, including a smaller variance? Is the variance request substantial? Will the proposed variance have an adverse effect or impact on the physical environmental conditions in the neighborhood or the zoning district? Is the difficulty that is there created by the applicant or something that the applicant did? So those are the questions that we have to go through. And yes, it's helpful to hear what the concerns of the public are. And you'll find that this board tries to accommodate that to the best of their ability, including when, you know, there are people who come out and say, oh, I have a problem with this aspect of it, or in other cases, for instance. But that doesn't mean that just because we have people come and say that they're either for or against it, that we can always accommodate even the majority of the room. And so I guess I just want you to understand that it's more of a judicial proceeding than it is a popularity contest and a vote in that regard. And so again, I just want people to understand that. In terms of process, one of the things that we have to do to complete the application was that the applicant had filled out the short environmental assessment form. And we had gone through that. And I believe that we had agreed with most of what they said. I did. The board makes me copies of this part 2 form. Oh, actually, at the last meeting, Carl had explained, because he does work for Stewart's, that he felt like he needed to recuse himself from the decision making and from the participating in this discussion. I don't know if life has changed, if they fired you since then, or so, in which case you're sort of left out of this, Carl.
What about if you buy coffee at Stewart's? Should we recuse ourselves as well?
Yeah, you go.
If you
No.
if you think that compromises you, I think that probably Carl is getting a real education, being the new highway superintendent, about one of the things as a decision-making body, as a public decision-making body, you do your best to make sure that there is not even an appearance of a conflict of interest. And in this case, where he's doing work for them on a paid basis, yes, somebody could make the accusation and there might be the appearance of that. So I agree with Carl stepping to the side on that. A good upstanding man. So if you would, as a board, so we need to go through, decide whether, if any of these impacts are small, are not there, small, or moderate to large, then that changes the way that we move forward. And so I guess we just walk through this. will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations?
No.
Well, I would say, well, no, I'll let you express your opinion. Why no? I mean, it is in conflict because
It
they
is in
need to have it
conflict with the
changed.
zoning law, but it is not, they're not changing the adopted land use.
Yeah, it's sort of both. because
Exactly.
It's not a conflict of the adopted land use. I mean, it's.
The only thing
it's
that's violating
in-
is the zoning
It's in
law.
alignment with the land use, but it
Right.
is in conflict with this current zoning regulation. So I'm not sure how you answer that, because it's both.
Yeah, so my point would be again, I've sat on a lot of boards in Pine Plains for many, many years, and one of the things that we were trying to do and set up this, things that I know that a lot of you people don't like. We wanted the community to have more of a hamlet feel, and we specifically, the town, when I say we, the town, multiple boards, multiple volunteers, many people just like you. Did this over a number of years. You would have to look at the comprehensive plan from 2004, the one from 2012. There is a hamlet plan, there's a sidewalk plan, there is a bike and trails plan. Those are all part of the town comprehensive plan, meant to be guidance to the town board and all of the subsequent committees that the town board appoints, including the zoning board of appeals and the planning board. In the comprehensive plan, again, it says that, for instance, gas canopies should not be in the front yard, they should be on the side. It says that we want buildings close to the street so that it gives an illusion of a tighter area to slow traffic down. We had people fill out, answer surveys, come to public meetings and say, you know, the trucks come through here too fast, cars come through too fast. One of the planning principles, most of you probably don't know me, but I spent a career for 30 years as a professional planner, working with all of the other municipalities in Dutchess County, writing their comprehensive plans and zoning laws. And one of the planning principle studies have shown that if you narrow the space that someone is driving in, they get nervous and they slow down. And that was the reason. Plus it matches our historic hamlet patterns, which was buildings close to the street. And so that it was the logic behind the smaller setback.
So I totally get what you're saying, but getting back to question number one here, how does that, how do we answer this? Or would, I mean, if we have a disagreement on how to answer it, how do we?
Yeah, that was, I was, believe it or not, I spend probably the good part of the day prepping for these meetings and try to think about people's questions and how to proceed. Particularly, we seldom have where there are disagreements, and many of you may feel, and you might as well know, I feel like that we should live with what the town has put in the comprehensive plan, the smaller setback. I think that my feeling is that the rest of the board doesn't go there. And so my job is to be able to express my own opinions, but I've done my best to try to move not delay the applicant, to try to make it move along. We've had, we even, moved the meeting to make sure that we had the votes all here. Type of thing.
Let's vote.
And so to resolve it, I guess so I would say that it sounds like the rest of the folks feel like it would be a small impact, and if that's the way people would like to vote on that. My feeling is that if you set this precedent, what's to stop Dollar General from coming to the lot next door like they proposed before and say, well, we want 160-foot setback? And what is going to be the answer to that? And so we end up with big parking. So the entrance to town is now big parking lots and stores set way back. That's my feeling. That's why I sort of defend all of the time and effort that was put in by, again, multiple volunteers sitting on boards, local people trying to make decisions and trying to set design guidelines, and that was the design guideline. And I feel that I need to defend that. That does not mean that the rest of you have to agree with that. And so we should say, because Carl's not in this, the other four, would you like to mark that as small impact or moderate?
I would say small.
Small. Okay, so that's the way we'll mark it. Again, I would say that it could be moderate because of the precedent setting. Will the proposed action result in a change in use or intensity to the use of the land? I would say that it's no or small. Everybody okay
Yes,
with that?
Yes, agree.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? I would say no or small. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of the critical environmental area of a critical? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? I would say no or small. You know, the building's back a little bit further for people to walk through. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy? And it fails to incorporate reasonably, I presume that a new building, it all has to meet the state energy code, so I would say no. Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies or wastewater treatment? Those are no's. In my opinion, I'm gonna ask everybody to jump in and dispute it again. Please do not feel like that. Again, my job is as a facilitator, not to be the one who makes the decisions. Will the proposed action impair the character quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? We're all in a no there, is that correct? No.
Right.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, or fauna?
No.
I believe that that's probably no. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
No.
I think we're saying no. And will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
I think that we're all in there for. So that allows us to then, I think that leads us to making what's called a negative determination. We've done this as a uncoordinated state environmental quality review, which means that we haven't asked for comments or brought in any other agency. So as they have to seek other approvals, and I'm hopeful that perhaps the planning board would do a coordinated review in that they seem to have more access to a professional planner and the town engineer, and so they could do that. And in which case, I mean, the other, and Marcus, I would ask, you're going to need, I know, probably health department approval. You'll need, the site plan will have to go to the county. Depending upon if there's any change to the curb cuts, DOT might be involved. I don't know, setting the gas tanks, DEC.
DEC is just a notification.
Oh, all right.
It's not a permit process.
Okay. And any other agencies that would? So the choice.
Outside of the town's
Yeah.
building and planning.
Yeah, okay, so of those are the ones that we've identified. They would have the choice of doing a coordinated review or to do just as we have done, a uncoordinated review. In which case perhaps the planning board may choose to do a coordinated review. Again, this is an uncoordinated review, and based upon how we've answered this, I would say that we are making what's called a negative determination, and that kind of ends our seeker obligations. Are people in agreement with that?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there a motion that we then, in terms of our determination of significance, it is a negative determination?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor will say aye.
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 Any opposed? No. All right, so I believe that we are done with our seeker work at this point. The what we have, oh. I did talk about my concerns about that this I think this potentially sets a precedent. And again, I'm also told my fellow board members, because we try to work in a cooperative, and most of the time come out pretty much, I would say 98% of the time in the same place. I told I wanted to give you some of my reasons why that I'm having the difficulty, and have those as part of the record. And so again, I think that the biggest concern for me was that I do believe that it is possible to build a new store. In fact, Marcus showed us a couple layouts. He gave us the reasons why it didn't work quite as well for him, but there was one that where the store met the setback guidelines, was in essentially the southwest corner of the site. And when I scaled it off, he had put it 25 feet back from the road. He can go as close, or from the property line. He can go as close as 10 feet to the property line. And even with the 25 feet back, there was still 25 feet between that and the existing building. I think that if you squeezed it a little farther forward, did some careful planning with construction barricades, I think that it might be possible to build a new building and keep the existing store running. In doing so, the trade-off is that the gas function would go down almost immediately and be out somewhere close to 12 weeks instead of 4 weeks. Keep in mind that that a building similar to this one that's in place has, a design life of 20 or 30 years. For the benefit that the community would get over that 30-year period, to be without gas service for an addition, what comes out to be an additional 8 weeks, when I believe that most people travel out of town for many reasons, at least once a week, and go past other gas stations, and it will have to happen anyway. Gas is going to be down for 4 weeks. People are going to get gas and have the ability to get gas in other places. So again, I feel like that for the length of time that the building is going to be here, that it is a worthy cause to have it down an additional 8 weeks to get what is best for the community in the long run. They would still be able to build their building. There would ultimately be the other gas and diesel fuel, assuming that Stewart's wants to do it. I have been in many, many places where corporations threaten, oh, if you don't do this, I'm leaving town. Or, we're not gonna invest here. Ultimately, they have to make business decisions based upon their dollars. This Stewart's, I believe, is probably a very, very successful Stewart's. I don't think you're gonna see them leave town. I think that they're gonna look real hard and at their ability to make additional dollars.
Scott, I just want to interrupt because we've heard all this over and over.
These
And-
people have not.
Oh, online.
They've,
in the
we've,
minutes.
we've heard it before. And we know your position about the planning and zoning and how much work you've done with the county. What we need to do here, we're considering a variance for the extra 70 feet. And I think that what we need to do is vote and move on, keep the ball rolling. If there's gonna be, if we're gonna interrupt the process, it's not gonna be here by waffling tonight.
So essentially, I think that I'm hearing at least, and this puts Chris in a really tough position because this is his very first night, is that at least as a board, there is nothing in terms of what's written in the comprehensive plan that you feel that you need to pay any attention to.
No,
So I do have a question. So in terms of the county letter that says we have to have a majority plus one, and then they want us to notify them of our reasonings. So what would be, I guess we can deal with that after we vote. What are,
right, you can
what we
write
can
your
write
own,
our reasonings are.
that's the way I would look at it.
And do those reasonings have to be tied to the conditions, like those 5 questions that you posed in term, that's exactly, those are exactly what they're gonna be looking for,
That's
correct?
what's required
Okay,
by state law and case law.
okay, so if we're going through those 5 questions, then,
Already done it.
right, the undesirable character, it's not gonna change, it's not gonna cause, if anything, it's gonna be a more desirable character. Other feasible method is question 2, which, to your point, Scott, there is an option where they could put it up close to the street, but Marcus has already said that it's not really feasible for them to do that for various reasons. So I think that's a subjective question because it's not feasible to them, even if it is potentially feasible in the universe. Substantial is subjective, and we've already basically said that it is a substantial variance, but I mean, what's the definition of substantial? Is there a specific amount of feet that
No, I
becomes
think that
substantial?
the
Or-
board, again, you're a quasi judicial body.
So it's,
Get to
It's already.
put
not
some
conforming
judgment,
As it is, right.
you
right,
get to put some judgment in
Right.
there.
right. And right, to your point, it's already not in compliance, so the change, in my opinion, is not gonna be substantial. Adverse or physical environmental effect, we just went through seeker,
Right.
so that's fine, and self-created difficulty is technically a yes, but in the book, it says specifically that shall not necessarily preclude us from granting the variance.
That's
So,
correct.
so the only one we're really talking about is it feasible? That's like really the only question.
Is there ever a human component? The fact that there's a lot of employees working there, they make their livelihood. To interrupt that has no bearing on whether we approve or disapprove. No bearing on the fact that it's a big employer in the community. To me, there's a human aspect to it too.
Well, again, having been involved in many projects, I know that it would, especially if gas were shut down during the construction period. I think that they, through careful planning, could put up construction barricades and keep the existing building going. It would make construction more difficult. There's no question about it, but anytime that you're trying to keep, even with what they're proposing, it's not gonna be easy. But it could still be done. So I don't think Mike, that we're talking about, you know, putting employees out of,
Out of work.
Well, it will hurt, sorry, I'm Shirley, I worked for Pipeline for 24 years. Not having gas for 12 weeks will hurt us employees a lot more than only 4 weeks. But we get so much money every month on what we make.
And on top of that, and I know this is your portion, but if we shut down gas and they're going somewhere else for gas, they're going to another convenience store. They're gonna get their milk there, they're gonna get their bread there, they're gonna get their eggs there. They're not coming to the store just because we're open just for that. We'll lose half of our business probably inside the store as well, which means half the hours that we have to cut for our employees for pay. So yes, there is a human component.
And also, to Mike's point, we're just talking about the area variance here. This is also gonna have to go to the planning board, so, you know, they have a lot that they could or could not say or request or change down the line. This is just the beginning. We're just giving them the extra flexibility in their planning.
So I think, I'm trying to figure out how we proceed here. Again, what I will normally, or what I have done in the past, which I don't believe that any other zoning board in the county, in my experience, does, is that we often try to actually come up with a final resolution. It was difficult, you put yourself in my shoes, difficult for me to write a resolution that was completely opposite of what my beliefs are. We have, and I do that as a means of going quicker, but we not only have your notes, my question is whether I want to take a crack at that, or we could have Warren look at the tape you folks have put down your reasoning and ask him to develop a resolution. We can have a preliminary vote tonight and say, this is what I would like to do, so that it's pretty clear. And then the next meeting, we would just, hopefully, he does a good job of writing a resolution that brings about what it sounds like. I mean, again, we haven't done it, but it sounds like that we have the 4 votes.
Isn't it going to be relatively simple? We're going to prove the setback, end of story. There's
No, you have to write all this justification in the resolution. You just can't. It's, again, it's not a popularity contest. It is a legal proceeding. And it has to have specific legal justification. That's why we do all these damn whereas statements that go on for a long time, and it's.
But again,
Go through Washington DC at the rates you're going.
you vote for the variance tonight. We get approved, then the resolution happens.
Technically,
Yes.
the legal document is gonna be the resolution, so that has to come back before the board, but
Then
you'll know that.
you approve a
You could know this
contingent of the
evening.
resolution.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no other meeting.
Right. Well, yes, there will be a meeting next month to approve the resolution. I mean, we can't approve a resolution tonight because we don't have a resolution.
But you're approving the variance
Right.
contingent on the resolution.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you don't need to, you can internally approve the resolution.
Yeah, we don't have to take public comment. We
Yeah,
don't have
no,
to.
there's no public comment, but we can't do our work out of the public eye, so the resolution will have to be read at a public meeting and voted on.
Don't volunteer me. You
In
write.
Rhinebeck. they-
Or we can sit here tonight and I'm happy to help you
I
guys
say let
try to
Warren
write a.
earn his money. Warren can do it. He can figure it out. He's a lawyer. I'm willing to vote on this now. Let's get this ball. I mean, come on now. I got places to go. Yeah.
Let's see, so we trying to help you with, I guess the motion would be that, you have expressed your, reasons why that you believe that, the variance should be approved. And, you'll look for the town attorney to put that in a formal resolution for adoption at the next meeting.
So made.
Second,
Okay, is there any further discussion?
But you're voting to approve the variance. tonight.
right. Right now.
We need to put our vote on record,
Right.
all of us.
Do we need, I move,
Go for it.
if nobody else wants to take
Yeah.
a stab at it. I move to approve the proposed setback variance of whatever the amount is.
163.5 feet.
Thank you, 163.5 feet.
Second that. Now we need a vote.
Which gives the, again, the planning board the flexibility to allow up to that.
Up to that, right?
I'll take 163, but the variance is 438.
Right, because
The
it's,
setback is 63,
okay.
163.
Yeah,
that wasn't me.
He's not getting greedy. He's not getting.
So amend that to
well, no,
138
to say that the setback can be up to 100.
from the property line.
Yeah.
Setback of 163 feet from the property line,
Yeah.
right? Okay, okay. Mike seconded it.
Any further discussion?
No.
If not, all in favor will say aye.
Aye.
One opposed. Okay, our only other item, thank you, everybody, for coming. Hopefully, I don't know, it's always educational to see how your local government attempts to work.
I have a question. How long does the lawyer have to get back to get this wrapped up?
Well, it's wrapped up though. They voted, they're good.
Right,
so
now
Yeah, they're good.
he'll just up for the next meeting.
Not gonna change our decision. I have to go to
Are we voting on the
Yeah,
March
yeah,
minutes?
we're voting on the minutes. I just wanted to.
Yeah, we're-
I'm sorry, I didn't get these corrections to everybody earlier. We were talking about solar array farm, they say solar array.
Okay.
And then this is on the Hanson. Base then read the changes, it says read a resolution, see it now. What I think is important is that people don't get the impression that I just do these and you automatically approve them. So I would prefer that it say, Chase then read a draft resolution. And the board made corrections and changes because we did.
That's fine.
That's fine. Yep. I
And
can
I'm
do that.
just gonna give that to her.
Yeah,
Perfect.
So with those changes, we have three that were here.
Move to accept change.
And I'll second that.
Oh, and I can vote too.
Yeah.
So all in favor will say aye.
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 And I'll send you.
Chris, I'm gonna advise you to not vote because you weren't here for that.
But.
And so Chris is abstaining.
You can vote.
Yes.
Yeah. if you're not-
And so I think that is it. I did not see our zoning inspector tonight.
No, I see, no, I hope you realize it was tonight.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
you need them,
Everybody else realized.
you know,
Yeah.
almost every other, we have questions.
That's right.
All right, thank you, everybody.
All right, thanks.